Okay. Okay. Let me just get set up over here. I'm going to spotlight my video. I've got a few more people joining. Oh my goodness, it's so good to have you all here. And I know that we're going to have some people watching the replay. So hello, replay viewers as well. I am very often a pretty free-flowing person when I present a training. Today, you get to see the side of me that's very well organized and created a PowerPoint presentation. So this is going to be fun. I made a joke this morning with somebody. So who pays attention to moon cycles? We've got a full moon, and I've been having the weirdest dreams. I don't know if anybody else is feeling this, but I've been having the strangest dreams, and all night, like dream after dream after dream. And this morning I woke up and I was like, it must be the full moon because I made a PowerPoint presentation. But as we are here live, number one, it is so good to have so many of you here live. And I want you to feel like this is your space, that you get to connect with people in here. I can already see, I know so many of you, so I can already see that there was like synergy between so many of you. So go ahead and kick it off by introducing yourself in the chat box, who you are, what you do, where you live. We've got people from all over, which is so fun. And yeah, let's get it started over here. I'm going to set us up for our presentation. What a treat. So as I was saying earlier, we're so used to LinkedIn as this kind of boring platform. I saw a meme the other day, and maybe a little insensitive, but it was this man who was probably in his 90s and he's wearing a suit and he's laughing hysterically. And the meme says, people on LinkedIn, when they see a meme that already went viral on every other social platform. And it's funny, and also it's so false because LinkedIn has evolved in so many ways over the years. LinkedIn has been around since 2002, and it has over like 800 million people on it. It's a big platform in that respect. And in comparison to platforms like Facebook or the more mainstream platforms, it's got kind of a small group of users, but simultaneously it's very hyper-focused. And so for business professionals, regardless of what industry you're in, there's a lot of really great statistics about LinkedIn that I think are really helpful for business owners and professionals in general, right? You don't have to own a business to be on LinkedIn. Obviously, it's most commonly known for being your resume platform. And I love seeing these comments in the chat box and seeing you all get to know each other. Now it's becoming more of a platform where you can do anything within your professional scope. So a lot of people are generating leads on there. A lot of people are establishing themselves as experts in their field. So if you're a business owner and you want to be seen as an expert in your field, writing articles on LinkedIn is a great way to do that. We're going to work on just the basics today, but we'll talk about that as well. The other thing here that with platforms like TikTok, one of the complaints that I hear from a lot of clients is that people on TikTok are not people who might be readily investing. People on LinkedIn, their average income is over $70,000 annually. So they are people who are probably more ready to invest in something, professional development, real estate, right? Something that's going to help them transform, grow, heal, be better versions of themselves. Not saying that people on TikTok are not looking to do that, but it started off as Musical.ly. And then it was bought out and now it's TikTok. Musical.ly was a platform for teenage kids who were learning dance moves. So it still has its roots in there. LinkedIn has always been a place for professionals, and it has always been a place where you would get started with your professional career. So it's always been an older demographic, not in the sense of, like people over the age of whatever, but like people who got a college degree, people who want to put themselves out there, right? So that's a really large market of people. That's a lot of people on there. So just wanted to share that before we get started. And simultaneously, the other factor is that even though a lot of their features are the same, they are competing in really interesting ways. So I'm going to do a quick introduction. I know that I know a number of you, and also constantly evolving. So some of this might be new to you, but my name is Caitlin Ann Marie, and I have been a leadership and business coach for the last 4 years. I've been a marketer for over 8 years now, closer to 9 years. And I'm also trying to pull out my PowerPoint while we do this. I started a marketing agency recently. I've been in marketing for a long time, and I finally went for it and I started a marketing agency, and it has been such a thrill, so fun. And in the process of starting that, I have pushed myself to be really ahead of the curve, like as ahead of the curve as possible. So this training is also encouragement for you to prep for 2023. There's Loki again. Some of what I found in research was that so many people are leaning towards LinkedIn for their marketing strategies for 2023. So it's really a place of being of service, wanting to help y'all get into a place where you are ready for, I'm just going to mute anyone who's got their mics on, just so we don't have the background noise. And let's get going with this. All right, can you see my screen? Good? Okay, my presentation. It's cute, right? It's pink, it's orange. I know some people have like PTSD. They're like, oh my goodness. So I don't know what happened here. That's a glitch, but they're like, oh my goodness, a presentation. It's going to be so boring. But don't worry, I made it pink and orange, so it's cute. So a little bit about me. I have nurtured marketing agency. I do leadership and business coaching. And my mission is to really just help people who are helping people. And so many of you are doing that in your own unique ways, right? If you're an entrepreneur, business owner, really our zone of genius is solving problems, right? So whatever the problem is, you're out here and you're like, how can I help? And my goal is to help you so that you can help other people, right? We've all got our way of participating in the ripple effect. And it's just good to have you all here. It's good to be in the room with so many change makers and passionate people. So today is to help you do more of that. We're focusing on ways to stay kind of ahead of the curve. I read this article recently by Social Media Today, and it was wonderful and awe-inspiring and maybe nerve-wracking and exciting at the same time, but it was statistics on people leaving Meta platforms, meaning Facebook and Instagram. People are leaving these platforms. If you know me, you know that I built my entire coaching business on Instagram. So for someone like me, I'm like, oh no. And simultaneously, it's always good to welcome change. The beautiful thing about social media platforms, different from your website, is that social media platforms, you can reach thousands of people with one video, one post, right? Thousands or more. So it is exciting when we see that there are new things happening, and it's good to stay ahead of the curve. There's a lot of algorithm change in these platforms, which is why a lot of people are leaving it and they're heading towards platforms like TikTok and LinkedIn. So the other thing here is that I want to encourage you to have takeaways. I want you to actually update your LinkedIn account if it's getting some dust. Feel free also. One of the pieces of encouragement here is to connect with other people on LinkedIn. This group here is a great place to do it. So while you're here, drop your LinkedIn profile in the chat box and connect with one another. I'll share mine later. I'll get too distracted if I try to send you my LinkedIn URL right now, but I would love to connect with you on there as well. Connect with one another. The other thing here, and I'll explain a little bit more later, is that the more people you connect with that are like-minded, the more likely you are to get in front of their audiences as well, which is really helpful. So there's three main things that we're going to cover today. I've got space for Q&A later. So I will kind of move through a lot of this as quickly as possible so that we've got that time and space for Q&A. What we're covering today is how to optimize your profile. What that means is that LinkedIn is great for SEO. It's very traditional SEO, meaning that it is based off of keywords. So keywords are just very specific words that people are likely to put in a search bar. So when you think about what your ideal client is Googling when they're looking for their solution, that's what you want your keywords to be. So y'all have introduced yourselves, and this might be a great place to go in the chat and just be like, I think some of these would be keywords. I'll explain some of my keywords and why I picked them as well, so you have some examples. And I will not be very in the chat box because I will get distracted and I want to stay on point and keep going. So if you have questions, save them for later and we'll get to it. Optimizing your profile means that it's easier for people to search you. It's easier for people to find you, message you, and say, I want to work with you, or I want to collaborate with you. LinkedIn is a really great place to look for collaborations as well. It's not just about like, where's my next client? It's also like, who can I strategically work with? Who can be a great referral partner? I'm talking to somebody right now who's, she focuses on strategy for people. So she saw that I have a marketing agency and she was like, hey, I would love to connect with you and see if we can like cross promote one another and do some referrals. And so we have a call next week. And again, that's because she was searching, like literally just because she was searching marketing. The next thing we're going to cover is how to leverage simple features to grow your network. And the final thing is expanding your network. Sound good? Are we still excited? Is the pink and orange helping? Great. Here's what happens when I don't use PowerPoints very often. I struggle to use them. Here we go. All right. Optimizing your profile. Step number one. I put this as step one, step two, step three, because if you don't optimize your profile, it's kind of a waste of time to go out and be trying to network and collaborate and posting things. So do this before you start like posting on your LinkedIn. Not that you can't, but this should be your highest priority. So here is an older version of my LinkedIn. It's very much the resume, right? Listed things out, kind of boring. It's not terrible, but it's not exciting. It's not like wowing. Here we have the banner image. It's just a picture, profile picture. This was actually recently updated, so it's not bad. And then leadership coach, digital marketer, retreat facilitator. Awesome if people just want to know what you do. Awesome if people go directly to your page. Awesome if somebody Googles me. But that's not a very like consistent case, right? It's not very consistent that somebody's like, I'm gonna Google this person. Most of the time that I Google somebody, it's if I'm going on a date and I'm like, I want to make sure this person's not a serial killer. It's not as often that I search somebody who's a professional connection anymore. I'd rather go and like look at their website or, scroll through. I usually connect with people on social media. So I'm not Googling them. I'm just like connecting with them on those platforms. So this isn't that helpful. It's okay, but it's not leveraged in a way where it can be really, really helpful. So let me just make sure there's no like key points here. So you'll notice a change when I skip to the next one. You can already see it a little bit, but there's this new section here. This is my headline. This is where it starts to change. I'm going to show you the full view in a second. And then profile picture is the same and the header is going to change. So revamping it, I mentioned keywords earlier. Do we remember what the keywords are? Keywords are things that people are probably going to search, right? So self-growth might be a good one. Personal development might be a good one. Leadership, right? My title is leadership and business coach. So it works really well because leadership is probably something that people are searching, right? They like to look up leadership and see like these great quote cards and things like that. And if they search leadership, my page might pop up. In the previous one, let me go back for a second. I have digital marketer. Now, this seems like a very minuscule change, but it was a strategic change. So I want to point it out. I switched it to marketing. I can see the head nod, so I know that y'all are like picking up why that change happened. But just to elaborate, people don't often search marketer, they search marketing. Right? So there might be a small fine tuning with your profession or like with some descriptive words that you might describe yourself with, that you can keep that in mind as well. Another thing here is mentorship. A lot of people will search mentorship more than they'll search mentor. I identify often as a coach, but when people search coach, it's a wide range of things. It could be a sports coach, it could be a life coach, it could be so many different things. Mentorship is a little bit more fine-tuned. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. Does that kind of spark some ideas for you as well? Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, it's really, that's like a simple thing, but it's such an impactful thing. It's so impactful, right? Because the other thing is like with marketing, people might search marketing agency or marketing firm or something like that. So if marketing is here rather than marketer, works out a lot better. If I were looking for a job, like if I wanted to go into corporate, then I might have marketer. Because the person I want to find me is probably looking for a person to hire who identifies as a marketer. But because I have an agency and I want people to hire the agency, they're more likely searching marketing. So the other thing here, the banner changed. So the banner was kind of, for lack of a better term, wasted space before. It was just a picture, which is totally fine. It's not bad. It's a super cute picture. My friend Mara does photography and she took these two pictures and she's phenomenal. If you need a photographer in the Colorado area, I highly recommend her. But that space is one of the first things that people see. And most humans are very visual, right? We like We like things that are visually pleasing. That's the reality, right? That's why we have pink and orange today, because it's more enticing. It keeps you engaged, right? It's one of the first places that your eyes are going to go is the banner and the profile picture. So when somebody goes to your page, check out your banner image and see if you can highlight it. I like using this kind of template where it's like, okay, there's still a picture here. So it's relatable, right? People also, there's a number of different statistics on like graphics and design and all of that. But one thing is that people love, they're drawn in by smile, eye contact, right? Seeing a person, it's very helpful. And right in the middle of where you might be drawn when you first come to my page is 3 things that I want you to know me for. So another thing you can do here is ask yourself, like, what are 3 things that I want people to know? Like, what are my draw-ins? Like, what are things that people are going to see that set me apart? And it doesn't have to be like a professional listing. It could be maybe a tagline. It could be something like, if you're somebody who stands out in your industry because you're funny, you could put that in there. Right? So think about the person that you want to connect with and think about what about you gets them excited to work with you. So we've got the headline, and this here is a feature actually. So you won't actually write this. I have a free account. I've thought about upgrading it at some point. I probably will, but I have a free account. I think it's great. If you have a free account, it's probably fine. It also has this new feature. I know, I'm great at selling LinkedIn in that way. Sorry, LinkedIn, I'm not helping you make money. Maybe that's part 2 of this training. So this is a new feature on the free accounts, is the creator feature. And it will pop here, let me see if this one shows it. So it pops up probably right over here on your profile. When you go to your profile and you're signed in, you're going to see that LinkedIn has suggestions for you. Like, they want you to have a great profile. So they may have a suggestion for you, like, this was a good suggestion. Get started with services. Okay, if you have services, add them here. If you see this pop up on your page, click it, use it. It's great. I'm pretty sure creator mode popped up over here. This one is show recruiters you're open to work. That one doesn't apply to me really. The creator basically puts you in these categories. So you can list 4 categories that you want people to be able to find you in. Oh, 5. 5. We all have our zones of genius, right? This is where you get to put your zone of genius. Mine is not going to be math. Don't look to me for math. So we have business, marketing, leadership, mindfulness, self-development. Again, things that I think people are probably going to be searching for. So again, that's creator mode. Let me just check the chat for a second. Yay, so happy to see you all connecting on LinkedIn. Did I answer that for you, Whitney? Marshall, did I answer that for you guys? Okay. So when you do creator mode, it's probably going to pop up here. If you go to your profile. Let me look. Here, I'm going to switch screens real quick and just double check that. If it's not there, then it's probably like just under there. and it'll say turn creator mode on. And then it's one of those, oh, you know what? It's a tiny bit lower. So let me share this screen with you. Let me switch screens. Okay, so we are live on LinkedIn. So if you scroll down, you'll see some insights, and then you'll see creator mode. So it's with resources. Got it? Cool. Fantastic. Simple things, once you do them, it's like set it and forget it. Another thing, just last note here. Another thing here is you might notice that my personality is very much in my headline. And this is like the common misconception. Old school LinkedIn has always been like this, like the previous profile, like just make it your resume, just let people know what you do, make it very professional. And it's more and more becoming a social platform, right? They started adding features like stories. They are encouraging people to do more videos. You can do live events. They've added all these features to make it more social. And so with that, there's this change that's encouraged with users to be more social, to show yourself, to reveal who you are, right? So see how you can do that in your headline as well. Keywords, personality, and maybe a little bit of color, maybe some emojis. All right, so we covered these. Creator mode, personal language. Oh, the last one. So I didn't have a screenshot of this, a before and after, but let me know any questions you have on it. The hook in your bio. So bios have always been that place where it's like, list out your skills, list out your resume. It still does very much have that. This is one of the reasons why LinkedIn is so great for centering you and for like letting people know who you are, because unlike other platforms, right? When you log into Facebook, where are you? You're like on a news feed, a million things are happening. When you go to somebody's profile on Facebook, you see their discussion, right? Their updates. And so it's very like quick. Same thing with Instagram. If you go to somebody's profile, you see their recent posts. Now you can pin things. So you'll see a little bit of that. But there's no like big bio. There's no place to really tell people everything you are able to tell them. Same thing with other social media platforms. LinkedIn is different because you can list your previous jobs, your current jobs. You can put one of your jobs in that top part, meaning right here. You can put your schooling there, right? Everything is very centered. There's that short description about you, and then beneath that is the bio. So revamp your bio as well and make your bio a little bit more personal as well, right? Write it as if you are talking directly to somebody rather than being like the robotic resume format, right? The bullet points. I mean, bullet points are always great because let's be honest, we've all got short attention spans. I'll be the first to admit I will be distracted in 3 seconds, which is why I'm not paying attention in the chat box too much. So keep that in mind as you're writing, and also let it be more of who you are. If you can put a hook, if you can put, doesn't even have to be like this incredible hook that you're like, wow, I'm going to tell this incredible story and it's going to draw people in. It could also be something as simple as I help blank, like who your ideal client is, go from point A to point B. Done. And then after that, describe maybe your why, describe how, describe who, right? Go into more detail from there, but let that first line of your bio be very direct and stand out. All right, step 2. Are we ready for it? Are you ready for step 2? Cool. Leverage your LinkedIn. There's tons of new features on LinkedIn. As with any other network, they want you to use the platform. Like, they want to know that you love using the platform. They want to see you expanding your network. They want to see you being social media, that kind of thing. So another thing here that I wanted to include is that I know a lot of you have other platforms, as do I. I have Facebook, I have Instagram, I'm building a TikTok, I'm getting with the times, I've got LinkedIn. It can feel overwhelming to have that many platforms, especially if you are the one creating, like you're the only creator. Something that we do in the agency is the diamond method. So it takes one platform, and you can do this for yourself, which is why I'm sharing it. You can take one platform that you love and use that as like the main point. Like, this is where you focus on creating content, and everywhere else gets to be repurposed from that. So a good example is I have a podcast. And when I have people helping me repurpose content, I'll have them go to the podcast, because the podcast is very direct. It's very like one topic at a time. Listen to it, we could create content from it. We can create multiple kinds of content from it. Then take that, formulate it into other formats for different platforms, and go from there. So just sharing that so that you can kind of do all the things in a simplified way, so you don't feel like a chicken with its head cut off, because that's never going to be fun, and it's never going to be efficient either. It's going to be exhausting. And let's be honest, you're not here to be performing for social media. You're not here to be performing in any way. You're here to help, right? Like, you're here to do whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's coaching or helping people with their mortgages or copywriting or whatever. Like, you're here to do that. So simplify your creation process for your marketing as much as you can. Here are some of the features that you can focus on. And again, like, keep that diamond method in mind. So first things first is optimize your profile. I swear, like, as soon as I fully optimized it and got my keywords like very, very on point, I started having people reaching out. I started having people in my inbox. My network started growing immediately. People started following me on there. I was like, wait, what's the difference between following and connecting? Realized that's a whole nother world. It was phenomenal. So optimize your profile and then go on to the next things. The next things are connecting and building your network. One thing that I want you to keep in mind there is that as you build your network on there, you have an option to add a note. So different from other friend requests is, like on other platforms, is that on LinkedIn, you can click the option to connect with somebody, and then it'll pop up and say, okay, we sent it. Do you want to add a note? Always add a note. Add a note. If you know the person in real life, say, hey, it was so good to see you the other day. If you know the person because you have a mutual connection, say, hey, I noticed that you know so-and-so also. Good to connect with you. If you don't know the person, that's also not a problem. There's tons of people that I connect with that I don't know anything about. And I say something like, hey, you popped up here on LinkedIn and I wanted to connect because in your headline you said this, and it seems like we're like-minded. That's the best way to actually build your network, because people on LinkedIn are also, they're a little more mindful of who they're accepting as connections. And that doesn't mean that people don't want to connect with you, but a little incentive goes a long way, right? Like a little personal note goes a long way. And after each of those, then post valuable content. Feed posts, videos, articles, and interact with your network. Another thing here is that if you're building your network and you want to build an audience so that they read your articles and you have more people liking your posts and engaging there, another thing is, and this is a strategy that I've been using recently that has shown a lot of positive feedback, is finding 3 people who are talking to who you want to be talking to as well. So for me, it might be like Gary Vee. I love Gary Vee. I think he's hysterical. I love what he says. He's from the East Coast. I'm from the East Coast. He's from Jersey. I'm from New York. Like, he has this kind of spunkiness. So I love his posts. And so I comment on a lot of his posts and I'm like, this is phenomenal. And I'll write my opinion. And so over time, the algorithm on LinkedIn will start to, the more you comment on somebody like that, the more it's going to show your comment. Like, it filters the comments in a specific way, where if you're consistently engaging with that person who has a large following, you're going to start to pop up more for people. And then they're going to be like, oh, cool, I like this person's opinion. It's cool that they agree with Gary Vee. Oh, they do similar work. I'm going to follow them. So, and my suggestion there, I'm like, keep things as simple as possible. Just pick like 2 or 3 people that you can do that with. And then on a regular basis, go and comment on their stuff. Bada bing, bada boom. And this goes along with expanding your network. So now we are here. Step 3, my friends. So just kind of elaborating on some of these features. LinkedIn has great SEO. So this is something that is a bit different from the meta platforms, meaning Facebook and Instagram. God bless them. I love them. They're great platforms, but their SEO is pretty lacking, which is one of the reasons why TikTok is so big now. And it's one of the reasons why LinkedIn is so great to leverage, because you can type in one of those keywords and you can find jobs, services, groups, companies, people. Super easy, super easy. You can follow this, you can make it a topic that you follow. So this might be another good thing to think about if there's somebody who would be ideal for you to work with. They might have a particular profession. So I went over this with a client recently who, her work is somatic. So she does somatic healing and she focuses on helping people who are high achievers and maybe experiencing burnout and disconnection to their bodies. And she was like, I'm not totally sure exactly who it is, but somebody reached out recently who has this profession. And I thought, wow, that's really like interesting, because that profession encourages people to kind of get into like the burnout, right? It's very hustle focused. And so she started just going in the search bar and searching other people who have that same job title. It's working great. So see how you can play with it. Another thing is, I have a company that I work with that they are looking for referral partners and like strategic partnerships. And so they use this to search for companies. That's another thing you can do. Another great way to connect with people is just here. So this is going to be on the right side. When you're on LinkedIn, it's going to be on the right side, people you know, and then people also viewed. And these are the people that, like I said before, when I add a note, I'm probably saying something like, hey, we don't know each other, but you popped up on my people you may know search bar, and I saw that you are a coach, trainer, and leader, and I'm really into leadership, and I just thought we were really like-minded and wanted to connect. 99% of the time, people have accepted that connection request, and then a conversation has already started, which is really nice. If you have been doing an online business for a while, and one of the main ways that you generate leads and like attract clients and connect with people is through direct messaging, you already know that this is amazing. So if I connect with Caitlin and I add a note and I say something like that, and then she responds, we're already directly messaging. On a lot of other platforms, it's very hard to do that. It's very hard to do that. So this is a very key piece. All right, so we're gonna close out and then open up for Q&A. But I just wanted to leave you with some of the takeaways. So number one is update your profile picture, your banner, your headline. Your bio might come along a little bit later. Sometimes, I mean, I'm somebody who's gotta like let the sponge soak for a little bit. So if you're like me, I'm not gonna pressure you like, get your bio done today. That one has a bit more detail. It might take you a little bit longer, right? And it's also totally fair to try a few things on and then play with it, but start updating. Like take that action step, even if it's just changing your profile picture or going into Canva and starting to create a banner for yourself. If you don't know Canva, it's phenomenal. I highly suggest it. It's Canvas without the S. Fine tune your bio so it's a little less resume-ish. Right? So you don't have to completely redo it, but maybe put that little phrase at the top, I help blank go from point A to point B, and share what the point A is and share what the point B is, and just kind of fine tune it a little bit, right? And you can keep fine tuning it over time, but just make a few little adjustments in your bio. Look for 3 industry leaders, start to brainstorm, heartstorm who they might be, feel into like, who do you look up to in your industry, and find them on LinkedIn. Maybe write yourself. So one thing I do when I'm like creating a new habit with my marketing is I put it into my calendar and I get notified to do it for like 10 minutes a day. So you might put into your calendar like 10 a.m. for 10 minutes, go comment on Gary V's post today. Awesome. The next thing is start building your network, posting, commenting, and of course, make friends with the people here, make friends with me. I did put my link on this next slide. So mine is Caitlin and Marie. I would love to connect with you on there. And now we can open up for some Q&A. I'm going to stop sharing. So for Q&A, I know that there's a number of things that were going on in the chat box. I missed a number of them. You can open up your mic and we can just chat human to human. If you are somewhere that you're like, I can't open up my mic, it's too loud, then feel free to put it in the chat box and I'll see it.
Hi there, good morning.
Good morning.
Hello. So I mean, I can walk myself through this question, and I notice that I feel reticent to post there because I feel like I have to water down kind of, because it is so traditionally professional, I feel like I have to water down kind of I make it more scientific or make it more grounded in data. And post to Instagram, I feel like there's more, it feels more free to me in terms of like my body of work. So I'm curious. Yeah, I mean, of course, there's the approach to just do it anyways. And I'm just curious your approach in terms of how people tailor their content to LinkedIn, to make it like palatable for that audience. I guess I feel more prone to judgment on LinkedIn if it's not like in line with, you know, the things I mentioned.
Mhm. Did you share with everyone what you do?
Oh, I'm an executive coach, so I really work primarily in like heart-centered leadership. I help people who are either in toxic jobs and in burnout and recovering, or I help, highly sensitive creatives and empaths like create work in the world that they really love and do it in a very sustainable way. So self-care is a really big part of that, and like renegotiating our relationship to productivity.
Mhm. So I wanted you to share that. Thank you for sharing that. Because number one, it's incredible and it's so needed. So thank you for doing the work that you do. And number two, I encourage you to set the tone. Don't let the tone set you. You set the tone.
Right.
That you help empaths. Put self-love in your headline. And yeah, there may be more articles and more like statistics on LinkedIn, and those things are valid. They're so helpful. And there's 4 pillars to the content that you should be putting out on any platform, and one of them is educational. So it's educational, it's leadership, it's sales, and like motivational and inspirational types of things as well. So I don't see it benefiting you or the people that you're here to help by you watering it down and making it more regimented. And I think when you get on here, you're going to start to find your people as well. I just connected with
Totally.
somebody who's in her headline. She's like, I'm an empath lover. And I was like, great, this is my person.
Yeah, I think it's just like getting started, like I know that none of that, I mean, obviously I won't water it down. I think it's just preventing me from, yeah, getting started on that platform.
Yeah. So I would feel into like, what is going to encourage me to, like, what's going to help me stay accountable for setting the tone that I want to set here? Because it's your
Mm.
platform, right? Like you are in full control. You can post whatever you want on LinkedIn. No one's telling you what you can and can't post. And from that space, who do you want to connect with who's going to get it? Who's going to be like, ooh, this is interesting. Ooh, I love this. Because I guarantee those people are here. And I think also when you have that network, it's going to give you more permission slips. Not that you need external permission slips. That first one coming from internally is the most important. And simultaneously, it's nice to know that there's some validation, right? Like just as humans, we like to know like that people are appreciating the hard work we're putting in. So if you're writing a post and you have the opportunity to have somebody comment on it who's like, yes, empathy is key, or like heart-centered leadership is the way, that's going to help you keep going, right? And we want to add more fuel to the tank. We don't want you running on empty.
Mhm.
So what will fuel your tank as you get on there, I think is the actual question.
Perfect. And that leads me to my secondary kind of transactional question of, do you recommend like getting started more with like posts or articles, like longer form content or sound bites? Like, have you seen a trend or do you have a recommendation?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So there's benefits to either one. I'm at a place where I'm also like building up my LinkedIn. And so I'm finding like, what do I have the time and energy for? I've written one article, I want to write more, and they're like drafted, but they just take longer because they're a longer format. The really great thing about LinkedIn articles, and you'll notice this, if you're like searching for an article on Google, lots of the articles that we see are actually LinkedIn articles. So that's a really great benefit to writing articles, whereas posts are not going to do that. But posts are a way to nurture your current network. So that being said, if you don't have a huge network right now, do you need to post a lot? Probably not. Just focus on growing your network and commenting on like larger pages. And when you make friends on LinkedIn, comment on their posts, and here and there, start weaving them in. But if you don't have a huge network right now, it's not, the post isn't going to reach that many people. So it's not a huge, not necessarily like a huge priority, I would say.
Okay, that's great. Is it like things where the hashtags will reach more people beyond who you're personally connected with? Or
So,
not so much? It only shows up to who you're friends with.
great
And
question.
then I'll stop asking questions and open up the floor. Thank you.
Hashtags on LinkedIn work differently. Most social media platforms, actually, the hashtags work differently, right? So like people don't use hashtags very much on Facebook because most people aren't searching hashtags on Facebook. Um, Hashtags on Instagram, they're more searchable. So people use more of them. They'll use like 8 to 10. Facebook, if you're using them, use like maybe 2 or 3. LinkedIn is very similar. Actually, Facebook, they suggest like 3 to 5. LinkedIn, 2, maybe 3. And they will pop up on a generated feed. So if somebody searches that hashtag, it'll pop up for them. So they're not something to like highly emphasize. Keep it to a minimum. It will reach a few more people. You will have more effectiveness commenting on bigger pages than you actually will with hashtags.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for your questions. I think that was probably helpful for a number of people. Yeah, tons of head nods. Who else has a question? Come on in, open your mic.
I have a question. Hi.
Hi. Who's talking right
So,
now?
Danielle.
Hi. Yeah, I've
Hi.
got a lot of screens.
Um, I guess I don't know if this is so much a question, or I guess my question is what challenges or concerns might come up around this, if you have any thoughts around it, and or like would you encourage or discourage it? But my inclination, so I like to write a little bit, but my inclination with this article option is, yes, I can write articles, and I might take that as topics from my podcast and translate that, like transcribe those into themes for articles and maybe kind of approach it that way, like recycle the more topical articles. But I have an idea of maybe using that article option to almost like write short narratives or short stories relating to what I do, whether it's like client stories or whatnot, more so than using that for educational purposes all the time. I'd like to infuse more storytelling in that like that post option.
Mhm.
What do you think might come of that, or what are your thoughts on that?
I think that's a great way to repurpose. And let me know if I'm answering your question fully, because I feel like I'm
Well,
getting.
first tell me what my question is and then answer it for me. You did that really well. Figure out what I'm trying to ask and then just inspire me to think what you're trying to say.
So I think repurposing from your podcast is going to be really good, because I know also you're a very good speaker. And it sounds like you're feeling into writing the articles because you do like long form. And I agree. I think you thrive in long form because I've seen what you put out there. And keeping them focused is going to be key, right? So if it's storytelling, how can you keep the story focused on a particular topic? The other thing about this is that when I said earlier, I said that LinkedIn has SEO in a way that is, I think I said maybe like old school. And what I mean by that is, like, traditionally, websites and blogs were the place to create, like, your business needed a website and it needed a blog. And so LinkedIn articles function pretty much the same way that blogs did, in the sense of your headline has keywords in it that can be picked up by a search. So you want your headline to be able to, and this might be a way to approach it, is like, what is the headline? What are the keywords that I want in the headline that are going to attract the person I want to talk to? And how can I keep this article very focused on answering whatever that headline is? So if it's like, how leadership has changed across industries, or if it's 5 ways that you can tie your shoes, I don't know, whatever it might be, like try to keep it very focused.
So do you feel like so let's say I do have some that are very, educational and very straightforward in terms of like, here's a question my audience might be asking, here's how I'm going to answer that in a constructive way. But can I also go off script and maybe make it like 5 relatable neurodivergent moments of my day and just have it be more like that, like relatable stories and whatnot?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Again, it's
Okay,
like
cool.
setting the tone, right? Like that's your
Right.
brand too. So how can your brand come through is another great question. And that's it.
Right. Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. All
I
right.
have a question, if possible.
Yes, hi, Julia.
Hi. So I feel like I'm straddling 2 worlds. One is consulting in oceans, and the other is being a healer and teacher and spiritual coach guide. And so right now, my LinkedIn is a ton of connections from my engineering world. And I think my answer is I'm going to focus on the healer intuitive there, which again, I really related to, I think it was Whitney earlier, because it's very much like, okay, I'm going to step out here and be this person. But like, I'm wondering if there's some way I can also showcase that I do take side projects in engineering, and it's a very niche engineering field too. So my thought is to focus on my services and my shares and my intelligence there with healing, but also maybe post like, oh, I did this today for ocean engineering, and just like things like that, maybe that can show that I'm both in a sense. I don't know.
Mhm. Yeah. Does anybody else feel like they're straddling 2 worlds? Does anybody else relate to that? Okay, cool. I don't know if this is like a surprise or not, but I definitely felt similar when I was entering the world of marketing again, where I was like, I do leadership and business coaching, and then I'm a marketing agency. How do I let people know that I am both of these things? And on the other side, I'm like, I don't know why I thought that was such a big deal. And I have a feeling that, there's going to be one day that you look back and you're like, yeah, I don't know why I thought that that was going to be harder to communicate. And I hope that for you too. I hope that. And also, as I've seen what you do, I see how they relate very much. And so to me, it's like you're the person who is the bridge between worlds. And so you sharing both of these and letting it be part of your story, right? Because you have the ability to share your story in your posts. And I think that's a great place to share. Like, much of what you do in your engineering profession and consulting also relates to healing. And you might even see in your industry where there are spaces where they need more healing, or places in the healing industry where they need engineering. So I would challenge you to see where there's crossover. And how can you build into your headline that you do both? So one thing that came to me, and this is like rough sketch, but like empath healer disguised as an engineer, or engineer by day, healer by night, you know, something playful, because also that's you.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
You know, I think there's so much talk about niching down. As a marketer, I am like the rebel here, because I believe that there is power in a little bit of niching, and also doing too much of it can be kind of soul sucking, right? Like as a creative person, it's like, oh no, but let me also be somebody who dances and like plays in the forest, and let me be a fairy godmother and also a professional marketer. And when we set ourselves free, we set others free as well. And you'll find that that moves the masses, right? People will forget what you said, they'll forget what you did, but they won't forget how you made them feel. And if you can inspire them to feel more like themselves. Also, that's not a quote by me. That's Maya Angelou. While I build my business, I'm still open to work in my primary career industry I was in prior. Fantastic. Yeah, and it's great to see where both might come through, right? So for those of you who might be like in corporate, Elizabeth said this as well. This is a challenge I have as well in my 10 years prior being an energy healer. I was in clinical psych, so my 500 plus connections are there. You know, how can you bridge the two worlds? Like, where in that previous industry can your new work come in, right? Maybe you go to a corporate setting and you offer them a training because you relate to them, you get them. So it's so easy to pitch them too.
So
we're
a very brief follow-up question on that. So like if we don't want to deter from people finding us and thinking that we might be available for work, because I still do different contract work, like, you know, marketing and copywriting, but yet we're kind of setting ourselves to be an authority in, you know, like our life's work, essentially.
Mhm.
Is there can they just go hand in hand?
Yeah, I mean, if you have it as your profession, I would just not put an end date on it.
So have both open.
Have both open. Yeah, why not? And then just
Yeah.
emphasize like in your services, right? You saw how underneath like my headline and all of that, it said, what was it? Like the encouragement to add something to update my profile and make my profile better was add services. Add your services and make them executive coaching.
Right. Okay. So just list it all.
Yeah, you can only list so many services as well. So this is helpful too, where you can emphasize in your services that this is the main service. And then maybe there's one, I think you can do like 4 or 5 in there. And you can have one of those be like copywriting.
Okay. Thank you. This is so helpful.
Great. I'm so
I think like just psychologically to kind of, wrap your head around where it all fits.
good. So I want to take one more question and then we're going to close out. So is there anyone I haven't heard from that has a question about next steps or anything? Okay. Yes. Post your LinkedIn one more time on here. Let me see if I can grab mine. I really want to connect with you on there. Can I close this out? Yeah, let's take one more minute to just pop your LinkedIn in the chat. How do I get out of this PowerPoint presentation? Anyway. Mine is linkedin.com/in/Caitlin Anne Marie. So great to have you all here. Thank you so much for being here and being so fun to teach and share all of this information with. If you have any follow-up questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. Wherever you found this training, you can just message me there. You have my email because I've been emailing you. If you haven't seen my email, it's probably in your spam. And find me on LinkedIn or wherever. And also, if you need some accountability, feel free to just message me later and be like, hey, I did it. Here's a screenshot. Look at my updates. For me, again, it's so fun to share this information and to just be of service, right? To help you so that you can help other people. That for me is so much fun. And so if you just want to, let me know that it stuck and that you took action, that brings me a lot of joy. So I highly, the door is open. I'd love to hear from you. And again, if you have any follow-up questions, let me know. Here for it. And have a great day. Enjoy your weekend. Go play. Cheers, everyone.